let's finish this chassis. Now, I know what you might be thinking, didn't we already have a video where we finished this chassis? Well, if you watched that video, you probably remember there was a couple of things that were unfinished. The first being the servos in the front, which you now see are in. That's all fixed. As well as the steering. I had to reprint these steering parts a couple of times to strengthen them up after painting, but all of that's straight, it all works. There's obviously still a couple more things that are missing on the chassis. The first and probably most obvious is wheels and tires. Now, you already seen the wheels that I designed and 3D printed for this truck, but you haven't seen them painted. When I started looking at everything I had left to paint for this truck before getting to the body, there was just so many small parts. I would probably have to go through like 6 more videos just to show you painting every little part left on this truck. So I went ahead and did a couple of things off camera. You're gonna see a couple of those today. The first is the wheels. I wanted to get the wheels painted so I can get them on. Got the tires nice and cleaned up so we can go ahead and glue those on. Wanted to clean them up real good because, you know, if we're going for scale, a show truck here, we got to put some armor all on the tires and make them shine like true scale, right? So first thing today is getting these glued up, and we actually have another thing that goes with the wheels and tires that I completely overlooked for a while. So after I first got these wheels painted, the nice bronze center with the brushed metal aluminum look on the outside rings, I threw them up here on the truck and they look amazing. They really, I feel like, match the chassis. And with the color scheme I have planned out for the body of the truck, I believe this is gonna look really good. But there was still something that just didn't look right. I'm sure you see it too, but if we're going for a scale look, a scale build, we can't look through those spokes and see just open space. There has to be some kind of brakes on the truck, right? Well, I spent a bunch of time doing research, looking for the best set of brakes, scale brakes to put on this truck. There's a lot of RC drift cars out there that come with scale brakes. Actually, the MST car that I had at one point had some pretty nice ones on there. But I was finally able to find this set of rotors that looks really good and they fit in the wheels nicely. At this scale, I had to make sure I didn't get a rotor too big that was gonna look funny in the truck or behind those wheels. And I really think these fit and look really good back there. I think they're the perfect size, gives us a nice scale look of the rotor. There's still one more thing missing though. When you have a brake rotor, there has to be a caliper to actually stop the truck too, right? Well, like I mentioned on the MST car that I used to have, there's actually a caliper that mounts to the hubs of that car so that the rotor spins inside the caliper and the caliper stays stationary. That's where a lot of my research came in. I was looking for something like that I could use on this truck. And being that this is kind of full custom with an AR-44 rear axle and some hubs up front that I modified, there's nothing that's a direct bolt-on for this truck where the calipers would sit where they need to and spin in the rotors. So that's where I came in and started doing some design work again. So I now have a full set of calipers and some different brackets that I made up to be able to mount these calipers and hopefully spin inside the rotors. This is gonna be the first time I actually mount them on, so you're gonna get to see this with me fully together for the first time. Let's see how this goes. With those center caps in on the wheels as well that I made to hide the wheel nut, this really finishes off the look and it couldn't have come out too much better. I really think the only way I could have made this any more scale was finding a way to put brake lines in it, but that's a little too far. I don't think we're gonna see that. You can see our rotor spins inside, caliper stays in place. Same thing with the rears. It's just a really nice scale effect, a little small touch to really finish it off. The next part to finishing the chassis is actually putting the motor and transmission back in. Gone ahead and painted those off camera as well. We have to assemble the actual motor cover back, put the heads on it and all of the wiring and all to make that look nice and pretty. and then we can go ahead and put that back in the chassis. Painted the drive shaft as well. I do realize that with the grease and all, some of this paint might end up chipping off in the joints, but just to kind of finish it off, I wanted to make it look pretty right out the gate at least, and make that drive shaft match with everything else. Now it's gonna be as simple as carefully snapping this motor in place. I wanna make sure my wires go where I want them to go. Looks like they're in a good spot there. Motor looks pretty straight, and that looks pretty promising. I keep surprising myself, I guess. I'm really liking the scale look of this. If you take away the servos, obviously that throws it off when you're looking at just the chassis. But if you didn't have the servos there, you could almost be fooled, in my opinion, to think that this is an actual chassis ready for a body in full scale. Gonna throw on the drive shaft now, and I think we can actually wire this thing up, clean up the wires a good bit, and hell, maybe we'll go take it for a little test drive. Well, I don't think I can ask for too much better than that. The thing performs exactly like I wanted. It may be a little slow. There's no point in me showing you a whole bunch of running footage of this thing just driving around without a body. We'll see once we get the body on and get it out to some shows. If I want to speed it up a bit, maybe we'll change the motor or go brushless in the future. The function of the chassis though is exactly what I wanted. You seen how the servos lift up the chassis? I can start driving and then just set it back down really quickly. The only thing I wish is that I could slow down those front servos a bit. You saw it goes down pretty hard. I'm doing some more research on that radio link transmitter, but I don't believe that I can change the servo speed of that channel. But I'll do a little more research on that. If any of you know, let me know down in the comments below what I could do to maybe slow those servos down a little bit. That way it's not such a rough and jarring movement to set it down. Hopefully a less chance of parts breaking that way. But the chassis itself is now officially complete. You just saw it move and drive. So now it's time for all of those little parts to paint for the body and then the body itself. Let me know down in the comments as well. Do y'all want to see all of those little bitty parts, me painting all of those small detail pieces, or do you just want to see the body painting itself? I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed this journey of getting this thing to where it's at so far, and was happy to finally see it moving under its own power. I think this thing's gonna be really sweet when I'm finished, and I'm hoping to turn a whole lot of heads at some car shows. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss the rest of the build, and as always, thanks again for watching. Peace.